Welcome, teachers. So far, we have understood how children learn, about traditional and effective teaching methods, and what pedagogy is. Now, an important question arises. Is this only theory? Or this is what our national education vision also expects from our classrooms? You will be surprised to see how strongly national policy supports exactly what we have been discussing. In this section, we will understand how NEP 2020, NCF, and PARAKH all strongly emphasize effective and learner-centered pedagogy. This is the direction Indian classrooms are expected to move towards. By the end of this module, you will understand how NEP 2020, NCF, and PARAKH promote learner-centered and experiential pedagogy. Identify classroom practices that encourage discussion, exploration, and thinking. Connect teaching with students' real-life experiences and prior knowledge. Use assessment to improve learning. Reflect on your role as a facilitator of learning, not just a giver of knowledge. Remember how we discussed how children learn? Actively, through experience, through discussion, through connection to real life. National education policy reflects exactly this understanding. NEP 2020 clearly says, classrooms must move away from rote teacher-centered instruction towards learner-centered pedagogy. What does this look like? Students talk, think, explore, teacher facilitates learning, students are active participants. This is exactly the classroom shift we discussed earlier. The policy strongly promotes experiential and inquiry-based learning, which means learning should happen through experience, exploration, questioning, and active engagement. This is not a suggestion, it is a clear expectation from classrooms. Experiential and inquiry-based learning is an approach where children learn by doing, asking, and exploring, rather than only listening. In experiential learning, students engage in activities, real situations, and hands-on tasks that help them connect concepts to their own lives. They don't just hear about ideas, they experience them. Inquiry-based learning goes a step further. It encourages children to ask questions like why and how, think deeply, discuss with peers, and arrive at answers through investigation. In such classrooms, learning is driven by curiosity, participation, and exploration, which leads to deeper understanding and longer attention. Children should not just listen, they should discuss, explore ideas, and reflect on learning. This means pair work, thinking time, and sharing ideas. These are not extra activities, they are essential for learning. NEP says learning must connect to children's lives. Why? Because children understand better when learning relates to their prior knowledge, local examples, and familiar contexts. Remember the fractions roti example? That is exactly what policy is asking us to do. Policy also changes how we think about assessments. Assessment should improve learning, not just measure it. PARAKH was created to promote checking during teaching, identifying misconceptions, using assessment to improve pedagogy. Assessment is not something that happens after teaching. It is something that happens during teaching. In the first scene, the teacher is checking students' thinking while the lesson is happening. In the second, the teacher is noticing misconceptions. In the third, the teacher is actually changing the way she teaches based on what she observed. This is called assessment for learning. Assessment is no longer for marks. It becomes a tool to understand children's thinking and improve pedagogy. This is exactly what NEP 2020 and PARAKH are encouraging. Assessment that supports learning, not just measures recall. Now comes something very powerful. NEP gives teachers autonomy. Teachers are not expected to blindly follow textbooks. They are expected to think, observe, and adapt. Choose examples suited to students. Decide when to use activity, discussion, or explanation. Modify teaching when students don't understand. Policy trusts teachers. Teacher autonomy is what brings pedagogy to life in the classroom. It means teacher chooses examples that suit their students, decides when to use discussion, activity or explanation, and modifies teaching when students don't understand. An autonomous teacher tries different methods for different topics and does not blindly follow the textbook. This is where the real teaching happens, when the teacher uses professional judgment to respond to children's need in the moment. Here, both classrooms are teaching the same topic, measurement. In classroom A, the teacher follows the textbook. Students measure the table, write the answer, and move on. Some students understand, some are confused, and some are disengaged. The learning is mechanical. In classroom B, the teacher first connects with what children already know, measuring cloth, counting steps, using handspans. Students get excited, participate, and then the ruler is introduced. Same topic, very different learning experience. Policy trusts teachers because teachers know their students the best, understand classroom context, can make better real-time decisions than any book or guideline. No document can see what you see in your classroom every day. As a reflective teacher, you can observe classrooms using a simple checklist. While observing, focus on what students are doing, whether they are thinking and participating, whether learning connects to real life, whether the teacher checks understanding, whether students are allowed to explore and make mistakes. Avoid theory words. Look for visible actions. Effective pedagogy is not just good practice. It is what our national education vision expects from every classroom, and it begins with the teacher.